They say revenge is a dish best served cold. They are wrong. Revenge is a 5-course meal, meticulously prepared over years, with each ingredient selected to maximize suffering. And tonight, as I watch Richard Callaway, CEO, pillar of the community, destroyer of lives, give his retirement speech to thunderous applause, I am about to serve dessert. He regrets nothing. Of course he doesn't. Sociopaths rarely do. But in exactly 4 minutes, he is going to regret everything. My name is Marcus Chen. 5 years ago, Richard Callaway murdered my father. Not with a gun or a knife. That would have been too merciful. He murdered him with a pen, a signature, and a smile. And tonight, I'm going to return the favor. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back. Back to the day my whole world collapsed. 5 years and 3 months ago, I was a different person. 29 years old, fresh from a top business school, engaged to the love of my life, and blissfully naive about how cruel the world could be. I thought the rules applied to everyone. I was wrong. My father was a chemical engineer. Brilliant, honest to a fault, he'd worked for Callaway Industries for over 2 decades. He wasn't in the corner offices, he was in manufacturing, making sure the products were safe. That was his mistake, caring about safety. He needed to talk to me one evening. I remember the tension in his hands as he held a printed report. He told me he'd found something in the chemical reports for their new pesticide line. The toxicity levels were drastically above federal standards. He had brought it to his supervisor, then to his supervisor's supervisor. They had told him to adjust the numbers. That's illegal, I told him. That's how people die. That's how people die, Marcus. Farmers, migrant workers, their children. This stuff accumulates. It causes cancer, birth defects. I've seen the internal studies they're burying. He told me what he had to do. He was going to the federal agency the next morning. He had copies of everything, evidence they couldn't ignore. I should have told him to run. I should have told him to think about us, but I didn't. I was proud of him. I thought he was doing the right thing. The call came early the next morning. My mother, hysterical. They called it an industrial accident. A faulty valve in the chemical mixing facility. Catastrophic exposure to the very pesticide my father was going to report. He died in the ambulance, his lungs dissolving from the inside out. The official investigation took 3 days. 3 days. They concluded it was an accident caused by operator error, my father's error. They blamed him for his own murder. There was no liability, no pension, no death benefits, just a bill for the damage he supposedly caused to their facility. $47,000. My mother, who had never worked outside the home, suddenly had a mortgage, a funeral to pay for, and a demand for money from the company that had killed her husband. But here is the detail that changed everything. The night before the accident, my father had given me a USB drive. His shaky voice was recorded on a file. If you're listening to this, something happened to me. Everything is on here. The test results, the emails, the cover-up, all of it. Don't let them get away with this. Don't let me die for nothing. I had the proof. I had the evidence. So I did what any naive young man would do. I went to the police. The detective was bored and dismissive. Son, I understand you're grieving, but this was investigated. Federal agencies cleared it. The company cleared it. But I have evidence, emails, test results. From a disgruntled employee who violated safety protocols. Look, this company employs thousands of people. They're the largest taxpayer. They built the hospital, the library. Go home, Mr. Chen. Grieve your father. Move on. I tried lawyers. 17 of them. None would touch the case. Callaway had too much money, too much influence. I tried the media. One reporter seemed interested, but 3 weeks later, I saw her having lunch with the CEO himself. He bought her, just like he bought everyone else. She emailed me that night, claiming I was harassing the company, stating that my father had a history of paranoia and substance abuse according to company records. They had manufactured a false history. They made my father, a man sharper than most, look like an unreliable drug addict. 2 weeks later, my mother had a stroke. The stress, the bills, the grief, it was too much. She survived but would need constant care. Care I couldn't afford because I'd spent everything trying to get justice. I sat in her hospital room, holding her hand, and something inside me clarified. The system wasn't failing. It was working exactly as designed. It protected people like Richard Callaway. People like my father were acceptable losses. That is when I stopped trying to get justice through the system. That is when I decided to become the system. You can't destroy a castle from the outside. You have to get inside first. Become trusted. Become valuable. Become invisible. I spent 3 months researching Richard Callaway. Not the public image, but the man. His habits, his weaknesses, his obsessions. I learned he favored executives who were Ivy League, competitive athletes, and self-made men who reminded him of his younger self. I burned my old resume. The grieving son ceased to exist professionally. I became the ambitious corporate climber. I buried my father's case so deep online that even a thorough background check wouldn't find it. New city, new narrative. I spent 6 months transforming myself. I learned the sports executives played. I took acting classes to learn how to lie convincingly. The man I was died with my father. The man I became was a weapon, forged for one purpose. I engineered a chance meeting at a business conference. I impressed him with my knowledge of his company's vulnerabilities. I let him think he discovered me. You've got ambition, son. I like that. We should talk. The company is always looking for young talent. Hook, line, and sinker. I started in corporate strategy. Entry level. I made myself indispensable. I worked long hours, generated ideas that saved millions, and made the CEO look brilliant to the board. 6 months in, I was promoted. A year in, I was assistant director. 18 months, director of strategic operations. I was the golden boy, the protege. Every golf game, every business dinner, every casual conversation, I was gathering intelligence. I learned the company's vulnerabilities. I understood the power structure. I identified who was loyal to him, who was afraid of him, and who secretly hated him. I gained access to internal files, financial records, and then, buried deep in archived human resources files, I found it. My father's original reports. The ones showing the pesticide was toxic. The ones they had hidden before doctoring the official records. But I didn't do anything. Not yet. Because I learned something crucial about revenge. Timing is everything. By year 3, I was vice president of operations. I sat in on board meetings. I knew all the company's secrets, and most of Callaway's personal ones. One evening, he was drunk, feeling confessional. You know, Marcus, he slurred, I've made difficult decisions. Decisions that, well, weaker men might call ruthless. But that's what leadership is, making the hard calls. I understand, sir. Sometimes people have to be removed for the greater good. Exactly. You do understand. Let me tell you something I've never told anyone. He told me about my father. Not by name. He probably didn't remember the name, but he told me about a troublemaker who was going to destroy the company with false accusations. So I had my head of security arrange an accident. The man was paranoid anyway. Easy to make it look like his own fault. Problem solved. Company saved. Sometimes, Marcus, you have to get your hands dirty. He was bragging, actually proud of murdering my father, and he had no idea he was confessing to his victim's son. That conversation was recorded, along with dozens of others over the years. But I still waited. I didn't just want him fired. I didn't just want him in prison. I wanted him completely destroyed. Every part of his life burned to ash. I wasn't working alone anymore. Over 3 years, I identified others Callaway had wronged. The reporter he'd blackmailed into silence. I presented her with the original files he used against her. When the time comes, I told her, I need you to tell the truth. About my father, about everything he made you bury. I've been waiting years for someone to take him down. I'm in. Then there was the CFO. Callaway had stolen her revolutionary financing strategy, passed her over for promotion 3 times, and taken credit for her work. I don't want you to betray the company, I told her. I want you to save it. From him. You know about the offshore accounts, the tax fraud, the pension fund he's been skimming. I've documented everything, she said. But I had no way to expose it. Now you do. When this is over, you'll be the CEO. One by one, I built my army, people he had stepped on, used, and discarded, people who wanted justice but never had the power to get it. Now they did. Now we all did. And then I waited for the perfect moment. The perfect moment came from Callaway himself. He announced his retirement. One last year, and he'd stepped down with full honors, a massive payout, and his reputation intact. He was planning to hand the company to his son, an incompetent bully. I had 1 year to dismantle everything he had built. I worked backwards from his retirement party. That would be the moment of revelation, public, humiliating, with the media present and no way to contain the damage. But first, I needed to isolate him, remove his protections. The reporter started publishing business analysis pieces that questioned his legacy. The head of manufacturing ensured the plant ran perfectly, showing Callaway's policies, not the workers, caused problems. And then, there was the son. The CEO's son was easier than his father. No cunning, no intelligence, just entitlement. I made myself his best friend. I helped him develop a proposal that was financial suicide. Over-leveraged expansion using pension funds as collateral. I made sure he presented it to the board himself. He looked like an incompetent fool. The CEO was furious with his son. He doesn't understand the real world like you do, he worried to me. Sir, with respect, maybe it's time to consider other options, for the company's sake. The board trusts me. If you want your legacy to continue, maybe the biological successor isn't the right one. Just like that, I turned father against son. The perfect family fracture. While Calloway was distracted by his son's failures, the CFO and I quietly restructured the company's finances. We repatriated the offshore funds and paid the back taxes voluntarily. The board voted to restructure. Calloway's personal fortune, built on tax evasion, was suddenly exposed and eliminated. He went from being worth hundreds of millions to maybe a fifth of that overnight. He called me, furious. The board just gutted my retirement package. Sir, I voted against it, but they had the documents. The CFO said it was comply or face federal charges. I'm so sorry. We need to fire that woman. We can't. She's got board support now. And sir, there's something else. The environmental agency is reopening several old cases. Something about new evidence coming to light. They're looking at the pesticide line from 5 years ago. That's impossible. We buried that. He'd mentioned the case by name, on a recorded phone line, another piece of evidence, but I still wasn't done. I needed him not just exposed, but humiliated, and his retirement party was going to be perfect for that. Which brings us back to tonight. The CEO's retirement gala. Hundreds of guests, business leaders, politicians, society figures, media cameras everywhere, the culmination of his career. He was on stage, expansive and proud. 35 years ago, I took over a small company and built it into an empire, and I did it my way. No apologies, no regrets. History will judge me as a success. The CFO was at the AV booth, the reporter was by the press section. The head of manufacturing was by the doors. Nobody leaves until this is done. Calloway continued. And as I look to the future, I'm pleased to announce that my successor won't be my son, but someone who embodies everything this company stands for. Please join me on stage. I walked toward the stage, every eye on me. This is it. 5 years of planning, of pretending, of becoming someone I hated, all leading to this moment. I took the microphone. Thank you. This is truly unexpected. Calloway beamed. You've earned it, son. Son. That's an interesting word choice, because I am someone's son. David Chen's son. Confused silence. David Chen, chemical engineer, worked in your manufacturing plant, died in an accident 5 years ago after threatening to expose your toxic pesticide cover-up. Calloway's face drained of all color. I don't know what You murdered my father, and then you mentored me. Isn't that ironic? Chaos erupted. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, please direct your attention to the screens. Documents appeared on the large screen. This is the original toxicity report for the new pesticide line. It exceeds federal safety limits by 400%. The murmuring grew louder. This is the doctored report that was submitted to the agency. Note the date it was altered, 3 days before my father's death. And here's the audio from our golf game 6 months ago, where you confessed to me personally. The audio played, sometimes you have to arrange accidents, problem solved, company saved. The audience gasped. Calloway was desperate. Those are fake, fabricated. Are they? Because the HR director has something to share. The HR director approached the microphone. I have documented 17 cases of sexual harassment, 12 instances of discrimination, and 8 wrongful terminations, all personally ordered by the CEO. CFO, the financial irregularities, $300 million in tax evasion, pension fund embezzlement, and offshore fraud, all detailed here. And the reporter, you have something to share with your colleagues in the press? The reporter, her voice firm and emotional, stated, 5 years ago, I was blackmailed into silence. Tonight I'm publishing everything, the truth about the victims, about this company, and about every life he destroyed. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions. Calloway was unraveling. You can't do this. I made you. You were nothing. No, you made me exactly what I needed to be to destroy you. The next 30 minutes were beautiful chaos. Police arrived. I had already sent them copies of everything. Calloway was arrested on stage, in front of everyone, cameras capturing every second. He was charged with murder, tax evasion, and fraud. His son was stopped at the airport. The board voted unanimously to remove Calloway and install the CFO as interim CEO. The company's stock crashed, and within 6 months, the company was liquidated. Everything he had built was gone. His reputation destroyed, his freedom forfeit. 6 months later, I visited him in prison. He'd aged 20 years. Why did you come here? He asked, broken. I wanted to see you like this. Powerless, forgotten, everything you feared becoming. I gave you everything, made you successful. You gave me nothing. I earned everything by becoming someone I hated. You know what the worst part is? I'm good at being you. The ruthlessness, the manipulation, the chess game. Turns out I inherited my father's integrity, but also the capacity to become what was necessary. So you became a monster to fight a monster. Congratulations, you won. No, I didn't win. My father's still dead. Your victims are still traumatized. The years they lost, I can't give back. I just made sure you lost everything too. That's not winning. That's just balance. He received a life sentence without parole. He will die in a concrete box, forgotten by everyone except the families he destroyed. The families of the victims got settlements, real ones. My mother is in the best care facility in the state. She's safe. I was engaged before all this. She left me in the second year of my revenge plot. I don't know who you are anymore, she said. You've become cold, calculated. You're turning into something dark. She was right. 2 months after the conviction, she called me. We met for coffee. I saw the trial. Part of me wants to say I'm proud of you, but I'm mostly just sad. Sad? You got him, but you sacrificed 5 years of your life. 5 years you could have spent healing, building something positive. Instead, you built a prison for yourself just as much as for him. I don't know if I remember how to be happy. Then that's what you need to learn now. Don't let revenge be the only thing you ever accomplish. I loved who you were, Marcus. I hope someday you can find him again. I never saw her again. So here's what they don't tell you about revenge. It works. Justice was served, but they also don't tell you the cost. The real cost is what happens after. I have no job. No company will hire someone who destroyed their last employer. No relationship. No close friends. Every morning I wake up and look in the mirror, and I see the man I became. The manipulator, the liar, the person who could smile at someone while plotting their destruction. Would I do it again? Yes, I got justice for my father. Is there a right way to destroy someone who murdered your parent and got away with it? I don't know. The public calls me a hero. They've made documentaries. They want to hear the story of the man who spent 5 years undercover to get revenge. They don't want to hear about the nightmares, the complete inability to trust anyone. I honestly don't know if I have regrets. I did what I had to do. My father believed in justice. I honored him by getting justice, but I dishonored him by becoming ruthless, calculating, cruel. I miss the man I was, but he's gone. And I can't blame Richard Calloway for that. I made my choices. If you take nothing else from this, be careful what you're willing to sacrifice for revenge, because you might get exactly what you want and lose everything that mattered. The CEO destroyed my father, and in destroying the CEO, I destroyed the son my father raised. I got my revenge. I won, but victory tastes like ash, and I'm still trying to figure out if there's anything left of me worth saving. I'm sorry, Dad. I got him, but I lost myself.